Most SEPTA regional rail riders may not realize the deep history that once ran along the very same tracks they ride on each and every day. So one group in our area wants to make sure our area's rich connection to early train travel lives on, and they just got their hands on a one-of-a-kind artifact. Joining me now is Michael Huhn, the president of Northeast Rail Heritage Incorporated. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us this morning.
Appreciate you having us on.
Of course. You're a newly established group. What can you tell us about the organization and the work that you do here in our area?
Sorry about that. So our group was founded in June of 2024. We are currently remote as we don't have a permanent home of our own, but we look to preserve the rich railroad history in the Northeast. Those of you that have may seen Amtrak trains going up the Northeast Corridor, or even the SEPTA commuter trains in the greater Philadelphia area is, that's history worth preserving. And there's a lot of similar groups, rail preservation groups that have gone a little bit more toward the turn of the century into the wartime era, but we're looking to preserve a little more modern era. So that's our goal and our mission.
Interesting. You just acquired something totally unique. What can you tell us about Car 238?
So the 238 was a part of a 20-car order from the St. Louis Car Company. This is a similar-looking car to earlier group of cars that the Pennsylvania and the Reading Railroads purchased in 1963 from the Budd Company, but they were looking to add to the fleet. So the Pennsylvania Railroad looked to order more cars, but at the time the Budd Company was a little swamped with orders, so they looked to the next builder, which was the St. Louis Car Company. These cars were delivered to the Pennsylvania Railroad in 1967. Later on, they passed on to Penn Central and to Conrail, and eventually, for most of their life, actually were SEPTA cars. And this car in particular represents about 7 or 8 cars that were rebuilt in the late 1980s, early 1990s for the airport service that SEPTA kicked off in 1985. And in the early 90s, that's where SEPTA came out with the yellow airport scheme is to help promote the airport service. So this car in particular was retired in 2012. Some of you may have ridden the car at some point in time in the 90s up until 2012 when SEPTA had it. It was earmarked for preservation early on. But unfortunately, at the time, there weren't any interested groups, so ended up getting slated for scrap. There were some logistical issues that prevented the car from getting scrapped. And to our surprise, the car became available. And long story short, it was donated to us. And we're kicking off a cosmetic restoration to bring the car back to its airport scheme. So we're very excited, and we hope to attract a lot more, some more volunteers and some other donations and other help wherever people can support us. The
education that I'm receiving right now and our viewers are receiving on this is pretty impressive. You said a lot of the cosmetic improvements. I see a lot of elbow grease going into scraping off some of that spray paint that's on there, right? I mean, it seems like that's a big job just to kind of restore it to its original form, no?
Yeah, so the car, when it was laid up waiting to be scrapped initially, the car was tagged pretty badly with graffiti. So our first work session was on January 10th. It was on a Saturday. So we got in some manual labor before, unfortunately, a rain system came in and kind of put a little damper on our plans. But surprisingly, we tried two different forms of graffiti removal, and all it was a spray can and set it on there for a little bit and start scrubbing away. So it seemed to work. And when we schedule our next work session, hopefully next month, we hope to have a power washer at our disposal that will be able to do a little more work getting the rest of the graffiti off.
Absolutely. Michael Huhn, the president of Northeast Rail Heritage Incorporated. Fascinating stuff. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, for more information about Northeast Rail Heritage and how you can get involved and help with some of their projects, tap the NBC 10 app or head to NBC10.com/finditon10.